Hello, this is Paloma. I come back with the story the sky is telling for the next few days, beautiful family. Thank you for joining me in this space, in this day of rebirth and resurrection. I truly appreciate my service and I thank for this never-ending assistance for us to remember who we truly are and why we are here. And now, may this seed sowed by Joshua truly represent this rebirthing of the Christ consciousness in every single one of us. May this 1,000-petal flower bloom in ourselves, and may this holy heart guide our path. So there's a lot happening in the sky this week. I see so many lines opened for us. So I'm going to try and make sense of this. Just to say, everything I will mention will actually culminate in this powerful and fertile new moon in Tauro next Sunday, the 27th of April. So that already tells us that throughout this week the moon will be losing light. So will we. We're going to be understanding what we are letting go so we can renew ourselves through this new moon. And the quarter moon is precisely today, activating, I would say, the story that we will be navigating for the next couple of weeks, which is a grand fixed cross. So there is tension in the air. I actually feel like this week we're going to be pushed with such strength and certainty to our no that by the time we get to this new moon, we will have the clarity of the big yes with which we want to actually plant the seeds of our intentions. There is abundance of divine assistance as always, and even though everything is inviting us to make choices and to move, there is a layer of this energy that to me is completely led by the wisdom of our souls, and therefore I feel like there's the need for a surrender and an acceptance so we can actually move into, I would just say, the appropriate choices. So this is because Venus, the goddess of love, this week she's doing for the third time, now that she's moving direct, her conjunctions to Saturn and the North Node, and actually Saturn and the North Node will join together this week. And the thing is, everything else that's going on is so loud that because it's the opposition of Mars and Pluto and squares to the Sun and Lilith, that we could miss out. Not really miss out, but not be aware of this, which might be the grace that will allow us to resolve the tension in the sky. So this situation, Venus, Saturn, North Node, it's an invitation to reflect on our values and our relationships, of course. There is a saying goodbye to something so we can renew our vows, our commitment to our service in Earth and to love, really. This is implying 2 points that speak about karma, which is Saturn and the North Node. And so that to me speaks of divine timing and the precise moment for these endings and obviously the beginnings, because every conjunction is the ending of a cycle and the opening of a new cycle. So this emphasizes the need for clarity in our interactions and relationships. And I would say there is this subject about the way in which we experience spirituality or spiritualize our lives to go beyond the form and the cartoon we've made of it into the truth of the essence. It is a moment of self-evaluation, I would say. And I think there will be dynamics throughout this and next week that will test our integrity. This might bring a lot of profound realizations, and also it will confront us with the disillusionment, which seems inevitable really, because this is what makes the space for us to create, to arrive to this planting the seeds from an aligned and authentic energy. This closing of cycles can also be a very fulfilling and beautiful experience, or it can make us go through the pain of dealing with the reality of our expectations, unfulfilled expectations. No, we are in a time of change that is challenging us to let go of illusions and to reconnect to the truth of what we need and what we desire. So the maintaining also or cultivating connection to our own will be extremely important to actually activate positive changes in our lives. This means we might have to distance ourselves from other people's expectations so we can follow our own path. And it's also, we need to reclaim, I guess, this individual destiny, identity with courage and with trust. And this is where I get to the hot topic, which is truly the activations of Mars, because all through this and next week, we're going to feel this very stimulated. Perhaps you're already feeling it. Okay, so Mars re-entered Leo. To me, to begin, this feels like revitalization of creativity, of trust, of like an ignition of the desire to move, to express. And let us remember, we are actually integrating a pretty long 7-month journey of Mars, and this is like the end. We're approaching the end of it. So what also happened? We had the Sun entering Taurus, so Taurus season, which is an Earth, fixed Earth. And usually this is an invitation. It actually pulls our attention into the subjects or the matters of stability, grounding, security, money, values. And the first thing that happens is that immediately Mars and the Sun are going to have a square. Actually, today is Sunday, but this is just the beginning. So every square, it's like it requires an adjustment. So it's like I want to move for my desire. I'm ignited, and I need to adjust this in terms of the Sun. With who am I right now? No, my identity and my search or my quest for security, and my actions. And how do I adjust this appropriately? But who else enters the game? Pluto in Aquarius, who is also squaring the Sun and is going to have this opposition to Mars. So first with the Sun, I would say it's like, obviously it will bring forward the power dynamics. It's like our personal will and how we participate in the world. Also the fears about all of these innovation in technology versus the organic technologies. There's also the velocity of the air and the rhythm or the organic rhythm of the earth. My financial security plus the chaos in the collective, my values challenged by someone or something. And this is a tension that confronts us with fears, with attachment, with our need for control. And it can be perceived as a threat to our stability. So this is an important word, perceived as. We really do need to discern the reality of the facts and also become truly aware of who or to what are we giving our power to, right? And then let's join Mars into the conversation. This is the opposition to Pluto. So we have this T-square with these characters so far. Okay, this is the third and final opposition of Mars and Pluto. So they have history already, no? They had this opposition already at the beginning of November and the beginning of January. Okay, this is like coming into a breaking point, really, very decisive, that is gonna ask us to move, to take action, to use Mars. And I've heard it around the astrological world as like the astrological emergency, maximum tension moment, and the explosion of a volcano or something. I don't want to minimize it at all, but I do want to offer ways to integrate. So why do we read this as such an explosive energy? I think it's because if we have accumulated a lot of rage, anger, frustration, this becomes clear here, because it's like oh my god, what's the name of like an express like an eruption, no? And if we are in the frequency of Mars, which is low frequency Mars in Leo, of self-importance, arrogance, a very wounded ego trying to compensate through something, this pain, this is truly reactive. And because it's Mars and Pluto, which in a layer of interpretation represent war and power. So let's go a little deeper. Pluto is truly the higher octave of Mars. So together, both of them, they have an intent of genuine empowerment. And an opposition is really a longing for an embrace, is a longing for an encounter, for finding middle ground. And this could be read as our personal will in attuned to divine will in service to the highest good of all, Aquario. We could cultivate this as awareness and personal power with an almost heroic determination to become agents of change. This is an axis of authenticity and creativity, so let us not lose sight of this, because it's very beautiful. Look, there's a lot of pressure. It's like that's what I was looking for, like a pressure cooker. No, that's the word. So there's a lot of pressure, and we can actually find a path forward if we express. The word expression, it's about releasing pressure, right? Through what? As I said, it's an axis of creativity and consciousness. So there we have it. Pluto actually, well, usually we go through fear because it's an integration of shadow. It's about the toxic, the poisons. It's truly asking for us to be transparent and truthful. And so we will see quite clearly the dynamics in which we are entangled in power games. And more than instigating war, I would say we can actually choose here to drop the battle and enter the creative dimension of all of this, which is tons of energy. Now, let us add Lilith in Scorpio, Black Moon Lilith. She's also there, opposing the Sun, squaring Pluto, squaring Mars. So these are all very powerful characters in each one of the fixed signs in a situation that could become so uncomfortable that we will have no other option but to change, to move to this side. And so let me invite you to do something. Like if we come into the center of this, we are actually going to see we're going to be in the middle of a cross, a sacred cross, also a medicine wheel. This is like the, I don't know the word in English, the square of the circle of the alchemists, right? And okay, let's go through the characters from this point of view, which is the center. So we can call in Lilith, no? She brings forward into the surface the pain of repression and exile. In Scorpio, I would say, of our power, our connection to the mystery itself and our sexual energy. And there is a layer of rage here that we need to manage, acknowledge. But beneath that, in the depth of Lilith, there is a prayer for the retrieval of the wildness, of the wild as something that is self-led, authentic, natural also, and the retrieval of the power of feminine energy that knows about life and death. It's like the return of the awareness of the spirality of time, right? And the awakening of Kundalini energy, I would say, in an ordered way and not in this very chaotic expression. And it's also just shaking up all of these domestication of millennia. So we can redeem this pain, but I don't think we can redeem pain with more war, more shame, more guilt, more fear. No, I think we can redeem it with love and forgiveness and full acceptance of what has been and what is, so we can actually stand in the now to create new agreements and actually practical steps into choosing to do it differently. And then let's see the Sun on the other corner, Sun in Tauro. No? He's truly illuminating all of this shadow because he is the light. And Tauro is a sign of beauty, of life. So this is the axis, no? Death and life. And this is an invitation to create new life, new earth, new security, new stability, new economies, new roots that are cleansed, that are healthy. The Sun, as I said, is truly illuminating all of this shadow so it can become the compost for our seeds. And then we have Pluto, of course. And Pluto, the thing is, Pluto and Lilith they belong to the underworld, where we do this soul retrieval and this transmutation process. And Pluto confronts us and sort of like strips us, like we feel really naked in front of his energy. But I would ask you, if we allow ourselves to like be transversed by this fear, what remains? You know, you remain indestructible in your power, and as part of a prayer for a healthier, freer future, Aquarius. And then let us incorporate Mars in Leo, which is a staying connected to the strength of our heart, to the nobility of love, to the generosity of our expression, to the dignification of the radiance of ourselves. This is truly the Christ heart radiating through the individuality, the power of God that leads the will to change. So the thing is, these are all fixed signs and they don't like change, but everything here demands change. So I would invite you from this center point of this Holy Cross to check in with love and compassion. We have a North Node in Pisces now. Where is my resistance? Where is the tension in my body, in my mind, in my relationships? And come into this center. And also acknowledge that perhaps, even though it might look like it's outside, all of these four corners are parts of ourselves that are really screaming for us to listen to something. So let us listen. And I think we could find a moment of profound integration and healing and connection to personal power. Okay, and this is how we arrive to the new moon in Taurus on the 27th of April at the 7th degree of this, which is a sign of prosperity, of thriving. So obviously in the map of this new moon, all that I have mentioned so far is vibrating, extremely activated, and it's part of the intention with which we can plant our seeds. So there is valor, courage, determination. It's quite heroic. And the ruler of Taurus is Venus. She's in her situation as well, remember, with Saturn and the North Node. I think there's an exaltation of spiritual values, so we can lead a life of beauty, prosperity, and integrity in Earth, with Earth. We are the caretakers of the garden, and for us to plant new seeds, we need to, what's the word, like pull the weeds out of the garden, to cleanse, to prepare, to regenerate the soil, the earth. So with all that we can see in this shadow and this tension and all of this energy that rises through this fixed cross, we can create a compost, no, to have and to feed the fertility of the new moon. Everything that doesn't serve the purpose of giving form and reality to our dream can be offered here. So this is a very, very powerful new moon to actually commit to a necessary change, individually and collectively. And it can be a lasting, sustainable change, actually, prosperous. It is a new moon to choose life, to walk in beauty, to strengthen our creative power, and to cultivate temperance in the middle of the storm. There's a lot of entrepreneurship sort of energy available with an actual sense of practicality and reality with this new moon. So I think it's very, as I said, fertile. And this is the new moon that actually culminates the eclipse season. So let us do something beautiful out of all of this movement. Yes, family, I think this is what I've got right now. May the light, the love, and truth guide us to respond for the privilege of being the miracles that we are. Thank you. Blessings.